Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast hosted by two Northern nerds. I'm one of your hosts, Sam.
And I'm the other host, Paul.
It's October!
As you can probably tell, Sam's a little bit excited this morning. It's the time of the spooky season. So the goth side is in full bloom, shall we say.
It's our time, people. It's our time, as D Generation X said. I am really excited, and I'm also really excited for this week's episode. It's going to be great. And I am back home, not with a shitty Mac microphone and camera. I have a brand new camera, and you can see everything. My room is terrible.
Nice. But yes, it's good to have you back. Like I say, I know last week's podcast, I had to zoom in at one point to try and get rid of technical issues we're having, and it looked like it was a bit of a blur. So I do apologise for doing that to you there.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the quality. If you could barely see us at all, or it was the best I could do. I had to live at my parents for 2 weeks, but I'm home. I'm back home. And this week we're going to do Halloween, the franchise that has changed so many fucking times.
So yes, we did let you know last week, if you tuned in, that we were going to kick off the spooky season, shall we say, with like I say, the ultimate horror franchise in my eyes. I know there's been a few out there, and again, I said it last week. It was just off the cuff, but I did like the thing, the good, the bad, and the zombie. So we'll discuss all the ins and outs, things we love about the franchises, things that we found odd, the things that changed throughout and added to the legacy, and what worked and what didn't work. But yes, we'll try and make it as entertaining as we can, shall we say. And like I say, I'm joined by a little guest on my desk there, little Michael. So if I say anything wrong, he'll probably support us or something. So it should be interesting.
Yep, you'll get it. So that leads nicely into just wanting to put a disclaimer out there, as always, that, all these thoughts and opinions and everything we talk about and the likes and we don't likes are all our own. Please don't come for us. Just come and have a conversation. There's Facebook, there's the comments. Let's just keep the toxic. I can never say this properly.
Toxicity.
Let's keep toxicity out of nerdom and fandoms. So that being said, let's get into Halloween.
So we have talked about the first one of this franchise quite a lot. I know it's one of my favourite horror films. It's one of yours. It is, like I say, a pure classic, and it's timeless. It's aged perfectly well. It's still scary, and it still has relevant tones today. Like I say, even though it was filmed in 1978, it relies heavily on the music and the shape that was turned out to be William Shatner's mask, turned inside out, which it just turned out to be a brilliant idea. And I think the original name was called the Babysitter Killers or something like that. Was along the same lines.
It was something like that, wasn't it? I did a reaction to the Halloween 2018 one, and I've said this on the podcast before. I made a comment how the 1974 one didn't stand the test of time. 1978. Why do I keep thinking it's 1974? Sorry. And it didn't stand the test of time. And I watched it again after I made that comment, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I said that. It's still really good. The only one thing that I watched it the other day, and the only one thing that really irritates the pants off is, and this is not just Halloween. There's a lot of films that do this. Children.
Yeah.
How annoying Tommy Doyle is in that movie. I just want to punch him in the face repeatedly until he shuts it.
Yeah. But it always makes it a little bit scarier when the risk involves children for some reason. But to me, it might be a little bit sadist. If it was an animal, I'll probably be more worried. But yeah. But I said, just the whole premise of the idea of the bogeyman just can't be stopped. And I love the aspect of the first one, how it kind of just like say it doesn't matter. There's no rhyme or reason. He's just basically, he could walk past 3 people and not blink an eye, but then turn and chop someone's head off or stab them just because
he's pure evil. That's what Loomis says throughout the whole franchise when he's in it. It's just evil.
Yes. Like, it is, and Donald Pleasant is absolutely perfect in that role as well. It gives a bit of balance and urgency to the role as well, because he knows how evil and sadistic Michael is, and it's done brilliant. Like, as you said, the action throughout, there's probably not much in the first one when it comes to action. It's more what you don't see, or catching things out the corner of your eye. That's the aspects that scares you more. Which I think a lot of different horror films, or even horror films on this franchise, kind of forget, and it goes a bit too in your face or too out there. But like I say, I don't know if they knew how successful this film was going to be when they originally made it. That was, I think, a big surprise.
Yeah, I don't think it did very well to start with. I was watching a documentary the other day about it, and they said within the first 24 hours, it was nothing. They were like, oh, it's a flop, and it wasn't until 48 hours later it started to pick momentum up, and it started to, and then it's just taken off since then. Since 1978 until right now, it has a following. Like I would like within the horror community, like no other.
Yeah,
like you've got you Jason.
Yeah, I think it's one of the. Sorry for cutting in there. Okay. I was saying it's one of them horror films that when I was younger it didn't scare us as much till when I was older. When I watched it older, it was more scarier than it was when I watched it as a kid.
I find that with a lot of horror though. Like I didn't, because you don't quite get it, do you? Like
no.
The likes of Freddy and Jason, they don't. Freddy never scared us. I thought he was hilarious.
Well, that was the whole comedy aspect of Freddy, wasn't it? He was supposed to be like the smart aleck Joker type one, but because
he was a child killer.
The tones of Freddy was a little bit too dark, so they made him like a comedy character, I think.
If you see me looking down, it's because I've got my phone, because I haven't made any notes. I brought my phone with us so I didn't get names wrong. That's what I didn't want to do, is get names wrong. The cast of the first one has one of the most iconic, apart from Jamie Lee, who at the time really wasn't a known actress, had one of the most, I would say, best horror icons, screen queens there is PJ Soles. She never gets mentioned. Like when I'm listening to anything about horror, it's very rare that PJ Soles gets mentioned, and she's brilliant in that film. Like I think her character's fantastic, and she's the first one to show tits. So and they were spectacular. Exactly.
But that set a precedent, because like say all the like tits going forward. I know we're talking about tits in horror films. They always looked like they were floating, like someone was actually, they never seemed to be natural type thing.
No, PJ Soles is definitely natural. And also Nancy Keys, if I'm saying this right, isn't just in Halloween 1, she's also in, and she gets killed in Halloween 1 in the car, very great. And she's also in Halloween 3.
All right.
She is the wife of Tom Akins, who berates him down the phone for not being at home. Right. Yeah. It's her. Her voice is so shrill, you can recognize her anywhere. So yeah, she's in the first and third one.
So before we start going through, like, let's say the different like franchises, like different film stuff, I think what are the standouts for you in the movies, like the ones that you've seen? Which ones? Because I know going back now, just like say counting them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 released Halloween films, and that, like say with the next one, Halloween Kills, and the one that's coming after Halloween Ends. In total, there's going to be 13 Halloween films out there, which you don't really think that many of them is being made. Which ones are would you say are the standouts, like other than the first one, which is a given, obvious, shall we say?
Yeah, it's an obvious. I absolutely adore, and I know it's got nothing to do with Michael Myers, but I adore Season of the Witch. Like, I wish that just didn't have it. I just wish it didn't have Halloween and was linked into the Halloween franchise. I just wish it was its own standalone, like had nothing to do with it, because I love that movie so much.
Well, we'll get into that one a bit later on, because I've recently re-watched it again, and I've got a lot to say about that, like say genuinely, and from what I've thought when I've researched it a little bit, it's quite an interesting topic. But like I say, I agree with you. I'm a big fan of Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. It as a standalone movie, it works really well as a horror film.
Really, really well. And so the 90s hits. And you've got Scream that re-energizes the horror franchise, and then you get the likes of I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and then Halloween H2O hits. Now I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not a fan of it, but and it's only because of where the franchise is now. Yeah. If that makes sense. So we know that with the newer one, it links up with just the first one, and I love
this counts all the rest type thing. Yeah,
exactly. I love that aspect. But at the time, I absolutely I was on it. I love the fact that we had a Halloween movie in our generation.
Yeah,
that was really exciting, even though it's not great. And I found out a fact today that really made me realize how ungreat this movie actually is. So, when his friend gets killed just before, and he turns around and he's face to face with Michael Myers. He's friend, the guy from Jumanji.
Yeah.
That's a CGI mask.
All right.
That's not a real mask. It's CGI. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do this? It's a mask. It kind of
So they've kind of cut it in just to say, oh, this will be a good scene that we didn't film type thing. We're just trying to add it.
It's ridiculous. At the time I loved it. I was all on it because it's where horror was at the time in the 90s, or early 2000s. And obviously the new 2008 one, it's, for me, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect, and I love it. But this is a franchise that has been done over and done over and done over, and one more time done over again. And I love where we're at right now.
Yeah,
with it.
It seems to. Yeah, it seems to be gone. Because when you go through the films, some of them go really out there, complete batshit crazy premises and ideas and philosophies added to the films, which doesn't quite make sense. But it's a horror film, we're talking. But similar to you, Halloween 3 is a standout, just because of the originality behind it as well and how different it was. I liked Halloween H2O when it first came out. Halloween 2, when I was younger, I enjoyed, but after watching the new one, the 2018 one, completely changed my mind on Halloween 2. And there was always an aspect to Halloween 2 I wasn't comfortable with, or kind of it was shoehorned in as a premise. But I didn't mind Halloween 2. But then the others went a bit crazy. Halloween Resurrection completely ruined it a little bit for it, a little bit. But just going back to your comment as well, because I didn't actually know this. When you said the Halloween H2O was a Halloween for our generation, there was a Halloween that came out 3 years before it. It was the Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. It never got released in the UK. It was an American release, but it was released in 1995.
Wow! So is that the would that be classed as Halloween 6?
Yes, that's Halloween 6. That's the where Paul Rudd was actually in, which totally blew us away as Tommy.
I didn't even know that came out as Have you seen who's playing him in the new one?
No.
So
is it Michael Head? Weird Science.
No, Weird Science, yeah. So the new one, we're going to have Tommy Doyle and the little girl who the name completely eludes me at the moment, played by none other than Kyle Richards, who was the original little girl in Halloween, who was also found fame in The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
All right, okay.
She's coming back to reprise her role as Lindsay Wallace. That's it, Lindsay Wallace. So she's coming back. Yeah, she's coming back to reprise her role. Because I remember I've watched the first season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and oh my god,
Michaela will be so proud of you.
It was Michaela who forced us to do it, and I was really poorly one day, and I just shoved it on, and I just found myself being too attached and bothered that I was about these people, and I was like, oh, I cannot get into this. But she did, when she introduces herself, she says she's a horror actress. It's like that's what she used to do, and I completely forgot she was Lindsay Wallace in the original, and she's coming back.
Right, I know that, like I said, because from the trailer, it's bringing back a lot of the old faces that Michael terrorized, because they're using the premise that Michael's not just trying to kill Laurie Strode, but kill all the people that
were involved
that got away type thing, shall we say?
Yeah, the kid who played Tommy Doyle in the original one, who honestly is on par with annoyance with a kid from the Babadook, they wanted him back for Halloween 6, but because he didn't have an agent, they couldn't use him. So that's why they got Paul Rudd in, and that's why they've replaced him again with the weird science.
As well, because again, I've revisited this one as well. He looks so pretty much same as what he looks like now, just a little bit skinnier.
Oh god, yeah, the man. Well, apparently that was his first feature film. However, because of the time it took to release, audiences had already seen him in his second feature film, which is Clueless.
Right. Okay.
But Halloween 6 is his first ever on-screen film. Yeah. He
plays an interesting role, but again, we'll go back through when we'll talk about the films individually, about the aspects to them. But yeah, so them are the ones that stood out to me. Just to go into Halloween 2 a little bit more, the thing that I've got more of a problem with now than I did when I was younger is the fact that they made Laurie Strode Michael's sister. This is the first time they mentioned it, and they brought that aspect in, because they wanted to carry on the legacy of why Michael was chasing her and give it a reason rather than make it.
And John Carpenter was so angry at that, like so angry. That's not what he envisioned at all.
Well, that's the whole feeling of the whole second when I've watched it quite recently. It just feels like it's like, oh shit, we've made some money here. I need to do it again. And rather than coming up with a sequel, it's more of like an add-on. So it just continues on the same aspect, and they've got all the actors in again, which is great. But like I say, the continuation of it, and it just feels drawn out, and it doesn't feel suspenseful or anything. And it's as a horror film, like as a slasher, it probably is fun because there's loads of interesting deaths. They made a weird love story when Laurie's been attacked and she's in the hospital, and the porter keeps on coming in, and you tell he's got the hots for her, but it's like, with her, she's just been stabbed and attacked. She's not going to be trusting anyone, so it doesn't make any sense that she's being quite friendly.
The Halloween 2 is not something on my radar. Like I wouldn't go back and watch it again. I've watched it once. It just it was such a slow burn. Like everything was just so slowly played out, and then to reveal it, like Michael and her are brother and sister. To be honest, I get where they're coming from. I do, but as we know, the franchise is right now, like how it is right now after 2018, like it's not needed.
Yeah.
Like at all. And I love the writing in 2018's.
Definitely, but as I said, it was more scary, like the randomness of it. For me, that's what made Michael terrifying, and giving him a reason to be a killer is always going to be problematic, even though it kind of made sense in a way. But then, like I say, having the flashback scenes of Laurie and Michael in the hospital, and it was like, what's this bullshit? But it's quite interesting that what I found was interesting as well, because after them two is we'll move on to the third one in a second. They said that was going to be the end of the Michael Myers story, and the giveaway, the actor who played Michael, I can't remember his name, got to take home Michael's mask, got to take home his outfit. So that's why in the later films as well, because they didn't have the original mask to use, the masks changed quite dramatically from film to film, because they didn't have the original one that they had in the first two, which was quite interesting.
I put up the other day on the Facebook page the different masks of Michael Myers, and holy shit, the one from Halloween H2O, when you look at it in comparison to the original and to what they're using in 2018, it's so bad. It's so bad. Michael is played by, because it's Nick Cave is the original Michael Myers, and that's who you see walking in 2018 as well, because he came back. The one for, I can't even see who is Michael in. Oh, Dick Warlock. Good old Dick. But apparently Nick Castle, that's it. Nick Castle is the original Michael.
Yeah, but so the person who played Michael in Halloween 2 got to keep the mask, and that's why they never got that original mask back. So that's why it changed so dramatically from film to film. But I just think it's interesting that they made this one because they wanted to make a bit more money. But
it's the horror genre. This is what they do. They get on a good thing and they just ride with it.
But the thing I did enjoy about it, and I thought was a good idea, and again, they should have used it more, was the thing that they used in Halloween 1 in the first part of the movie, for the first 5 minutes, where you see this from Michael's perspective from the mask.
Yeah.
They used it quite a bit in the second one where Michael's stalking the victims, and it was quite sinister and quite well done, and it was an interesting viewpoint to see it from that. So that was a take that I enjoyed as more now, because I'm not saying you got in the mind, but you got into the viewpoint of what Michael saw as well. Yeah. So that was quite an interesting take I got from that.
Yeah, I get that. What was I going to say? I don't live for the second one. If I ever go back and watch them now, it's literally one and the 2018 one. Like I just
which is understandable, because like I say, the 2018 one has just discounted anything that's gone before and said, right, the original is perfect. This is where we're leading in from, and they've done it in a way where it works perfectly. But
it was Danny McBride of all people. Like this is not. It's like it was like when Jordan Peele started doing horror, and I'm like, but you've got like funny chops. Like I could not see that for you. When it was the same with.
Well, they do see a comedy and horror are quite on a similar wavelength, because, like say, it's harder. It's the two hardest thing to do in movies is scare people and make people laugh. So it's kind of like on the same type of. You're hitting on the same point. You've got to hit cues. You've got to timing. All that aspects does play a big role in both aspects. So I kind of get it in that way. But yeah. Like I said, Danny McBride done an amazing job, and hopefully, touch wood, he continues on with the next one.
Do you know what though? Even if this film turns out to be like a box office disaster, I'm still gonna love it. I'm still the fact that in the trailer for me just showed too much. I genuinely believe we've seen every kill in
apparently not
that trailer. Wow, wow.
Yeah, apparently, what they've said is there's more kills in this film than all the Halloween franchises put together.
Get in. But I love the fact that they use the Halloween masks from Season of the Witch.
Which I was just about to move on to, so it's a good segue that. So they are going back to them iconic masks, which I've tried for love of money to get my hands on. They are very expensive.
And they're very hard to get a hold of. So what I found today, and I've got it saved on my eBay, because this room is totally getting decorated out in the next few months. That bed's going, and I'm getting more shelving, because I have so much stuff that I have no room for. But I have found a Halloween 3 with the masks. It's the like an advertisement for Silver Shamrock in a big,
right, like a frame type.
Yeah,
Or like a
it's
poster.
it's like a wooden canvasy like it looks wooden for like the way it looks. So I've got that saved because I want that to replace the really shitty Game of Thrones picture I have up on the, it's do you know what it feels? It feels like it's material. It's like cloth. And it's so old and it's so ruined. It either needs putting in a frame or I need to get rid of it. But let's go into Halloween 3 because I love this one.
It's interesting what you say. I know you said about the advertisement there, because I know for Tom's birthday, one Nick's good friends, one Nick's best friend, basically Shasta's to mock up a newspaper article like from the Halloween with the news about Michael escaping, and like in the corner as well, I put a little silver shamrock advert in the corner as well. Printed it out and framed it, and it looked really good as well. But it's amazing how panned this film was, but how iconic it has, because this is probably what I would say is the biggest cult following of the franchise. Absolutely. Full stop, because creatively it went on such a different point of view, and apparently this was the premise for the Halloween films, that each one was going to have its own individual story. So the first Halloween was going to be Michael Myers. The second one they made just because they wanted to cash in, but then it was going to be leading into Halloween Tales. So it was going to be like a
I get it.
Yeah, so the third one was going to be like about this company who made these masks to sacrifices to the pagan gods, and then after that was going to go different routes, but kind of all interconnected as well. But there was so much backlash that Michael Myers wasn't involved and was missed, that's why they went back to the drawing board and thought, right, we can't make a Halloween film without Michael Myers. But the whole premise of this,
you got 4, 5, and 6.
True. Which I think they'll have the fans in their own right. But again, this premise was so out there. Like this major company had built robots, fucking android people, to run the company, and I'm laughing about it now, and how they stole a rock from Stonehenge that had mystical powers when switched on, could do some weird shit with bugs and snakes and stuff, which I still can't work out today, but it worked so well as a horror film because it was creepy.
And it was kitschy, and it was and Tom Aikens is just like phenomenal in this movie. He's so much fun to watch. And I'm just looking here. It was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, but it was produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. So that makes sense with the fact that they wanted to do. I love the idea that they would have done like Halloween stories. That's such a good concept.
Mm-hmm. I think it was, again, not sound strange, it was ahead of its time. If that did something similar to that now, I think it would work a lot more than back then, because back then they just wanted, it was during slasher season, like all they wanted was slash and dash, and these type of clever different horror films didn't quite work as well, in which they are working to a wider audience now.
Yeah, look at American Horror Story. It's like, oh my God, that's proper bumming us out that we never got that, because that would have been phenomenal. I only watched this a couple of years ago, and I'm totally blown away by it. Like it's got, you're right, it's got a cult following now, and the following is massive. And when I watched it, I was like legitimately blown away about how good it was, and I was like, I just wish that Halloween part was taken out, because that's always going to be associated with Michael Myers now because of the first and second one.
But it kind of was tongue-in-cheek at the same time. It knew it was referenced at Halloween, because there was parts in, like, when he's in the bar and Halloween's been advertised to be in the set, like, to come on, and then when he's put locked in the, like I say, in the room to be killed, and they put the mask on to get ready for the advert, because it was all, like I say, the idea was genius. Like, it was all triggered by this advert that was the most annoying, kitschy song that Sam beautifully sang at the start of the podcast.
Thank you.
And then this flashing light of a pumpkin that triggered the stone from Stonehenge. Don't know how.
Who gives a shit?
But when he's waiting for this advert, Halloween's playing on the TV when he's kicking it. So it's got loads of like elements where it's done so well and so cleverly. I just think it was too clever for its time. But this was horrific in certain scenes as well, like when they kill the first kid, and then bugs start coming out his head, snakes, and the snakes bites his parents, and it's just brutal and it's like uncomfortable to watch as well.
Is that the one in the end where they're in the room and the
salesman who sold the most masks in the countrywide, and he's got his family there, and he's saying, this is what's going to happen type thing. But yeah,
kind of wasn't sad that kid got killed though.
No, I think there's going to be a theme with you and kids in this, but
he was annoying. He was so annoying. The masks in that though, the look of them was so like the quality looked brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't look like you could tell it was a production line mask.
Oh, 100%. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't like poor quality type thing. But I know the NECA figures they brought out the three of them, the witch, the pumpkin, and the skeleton, as a set. And like say, I think they go from like over £100 now. But they were absolutely beautifully done, and I'm gutted I didn't get them at the time. But as a standalone Halloween film, I would put this not up there, but just below the original as good, just because it's a complete new premise and completely different. It's like chalk and cheese. I know they did try and bring elements of Halloween 3 into the later Halloween films with the druids and the markings on Michael, where it went batshit crazy. But again, it's horror directors or writers just wanting to give Michael a backstory and give him reasons. That's not why he's scary in my eyes. But again, I know that's about the continuation or I can't say the word. Continuity, that's the one. Between the films, to try and link up and maybe sell a little bit more as well. But yeah, Halloween 3 has that aspects to be one of the top quality horror films, and I think it would be up there if it was just called The Season of the Witch rather than
Season of the Witch. Exactly. I never reference it as Halloween Season of the Witch. Like it's always just Season of the Witch. And I will go back to this every single time I get like an itch to watch a decent horror film, because it is like it's just perfection. It really is. I forget what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Do you know what? I've got the song stuck in my head. It's taken everything in me not to just burst into song every 2 minutes. And it doesn't help that my mouse mat that sat right next to us on my work desk is Silver Shamrock, is the pumpkin from Silver Shamrock. So that doesn't help. If I haven't got the Strictly song, I don't know why, I always have the Strictly song in my head. If I don't have that, I have
but but when you're watching the film as well, it is constantly throughout that film playing, and it's so irritating as well. But it gets in your head and it stays there, so it makes a little space and it never gets out.
Not at all. Once it's in there, because then you'll be going 4 more days to Halloween, 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 3 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Honestly, it's so catchy. If we're going to be moving on from Season of the Witch, I'm going to be slightly lost off with 4, 5, and 6, because I have not seen them, but I do know the premise of them, which after learning it today, I'm happy that I've not seen them. I'm all right with that.
Well, 4 and 5 came out a year after each other, so it was 1988 and 1989. So that shows you how well produced they were. They were I believe 5, 4. I'm not sure about 5, but I think 4 came out the cinema, but 5 might have went straight to VHS. But again,
no, it definitely did. And apparently, Halloween H2O never hit the cinema either. That went straight to DVD.
Did it? I'm sure it had a. I'm sure it had a cinema release.
We might have gotten a cinema release, but the Americans didn't.
All right.
And they even started doing Halloween 6 without a script.
you can tell. If you watch it back, you can tell. But like I said, just to give an outline, say the premise is it's 10 years after the events of Halloween. Michael has returned, because it's called The Return of Michael Myers, to his faithful him, and he's got a he's not after Laurie Strode, but he's after Jamie Lloyd, who is the daughter of Laurie Strode, I believe, and who is Michael's niece.
You find that out at the end, though, don't you? Like, that is the big reveal that she is Laurie Strode's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know where Laurie Strode is, but anyway. And it's played by this really irritating little girl who's fair enough. She might be a great actor, but
it is the amazing Danielle Harris. I've seen clips of her, and the reason, do you know who else was up for that role?
No.
It was between Danielle Harris and Melissa Joan Hart.
Oh God.
So I think for the franchise, you got the better of the two.
Yeah.
But Danielle Harris, I've only ever seen her in Urban Legends. She's the goth girl.
Yeah.
In Urban Legends, but she is a huge scream queen, and she got it because of her range of emotion. For a young child, she could do everything, and that's the reason she got that role.
But with this one, it followed basically the storyline of Halloween 1, where Michael is chasing, Halloween 2, shall we say, chasing a relative and wanting to end his lineage, shall we say. And it all leads back, like I say, to bring back a few characters. Dr. Loomis is going nuts. He has a lot of power over the police force. I don't know why, they seem to listen to him rather than their own sheriffs. When Michael Myers comes and just decimates the police force, a vigilante mob decides that he's not going to be killing anyone anymore. So you've got that aspect running around Crazy Town, but it is not one of the worst ones, I'll be honest. Number 4 is not one of the worst Halloween films. It's probably middle of the road, but again, it's because it stays quite, on par with the storyline. It doesn't quite jump the shark yet, as it does in Halloween 5, which again follows Michael's rampage to get his niece, Jamie Lloyd, who now can't talk for some reason because of the shock and trauma of the one before. But again, the big shock for which they don't really go into on Halloween 5. At the end of Halloween 4, Jamie is when Michael's outfit as a child kills her stepmother.
Yes, I've seen the pictures of that.
Yep, but then in Halloween 5, in Halloween 5, it's kind of like all forgiven.
They're their little girl.
Yeah, the daughter whose mother was killed is visiting Jamie in hospital, giving a hug, saying, "Yay, you're so glad to hear." But Jamie's like now can't talk. So she's lost her voice for some reason because of the trauma. And Michael's been brought back to life by druids, or been kept okay by druids. And Michael's, again, going on the rampage, chasing down. The kill count goes up a bit more, and people don't really learn, saying, "Oh, no, there's people in a Michael Myers mask." And they go to parties, and people dress up as Michael Myers and almost get shot. That might have been 4 again, but these two kind of merge into one. But at the end, this is, like I said, the ridiculous part. They've got Michael in a prison cell. They've got him caught. They think, "Yay, Michael can't do any more damage." Then a druid comes in with a machine gun and shoots all the police and kidnaps Michael and Jamie.
Okay, the way you're saying this, I want to go and watch them.
It's just like
You are selling this.
So it's bordering on ridiculous, but again, you've got to take yourself out of that aspect of realism and think this is a movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is just silly. But yeah, so the end ends with the police cells and the police station shot to bits by a machine gun druid, and Michael and Jamie disappears. And then we lead into Halloween 6, which completely fucking jumps the shark. Starts off with Jamie all grown up, now having a baby while being in captive of the druids. Guess who the baby's dad is?
Oh my God, it's Michael Myers, isn't it?
Yep, it's Michael Myers' kid. So yes, so
I'm gonna have to watch them now.
But this one wasn't released in the UK. Halloween 6 didn't get a UK release. It was only in the United States. I think it might have come out in DVD a few years later, but we didn't originally get this film. Right. This is the one that stars the wonderful Paul Rudd, who actually isn't the worst thing in the film. His acting is strange, but it's definitely not a Paul Rudd role that you'll remember. But
I did not know until the day that he was in it. So
yeah, I revisited. I think it was last week, and I realised. But again, Michael Myers' house, and guess who's living in Michael Myers' house? The Strode family. Why the fuck would you live in that house if you?
Oh my God! There's so many bad decisions in this in these movies, mind.
So Michael's original house is now owned by the Strodes, and whose mother...
Is that just not a massive fuck you from the Strodes? Like, we're not fucking scared of you. We're going to live in your house.
but one of the sons, this crazy thing, the sons get, is it true that Michael Myers lived in our house? Because someone tells him in school, let's get, wait there, you're living in Hatfield, where Michael killed everyone, and you live in his house, and you're the Strode family who he targeted. You don't know that he lived there, so it's absolutely borders on ridiculous, but it makes you hate the Strode father who's abusive to his daughters and to his wife. So you instantly want him to die as quick as he comes on the screen. And the premise is Jamie escapes from the clutches of the druids because they're going to sacrifice the baby to Michael. I don't know why, or even to do with the baby. So they bring back Dr. Loomis as well, who's suddenly recovered from being burnt alive and hasn't got a scar on his face anymore, which is completely weird.
Which I know. So apparently 4 and 5 and 6 don't reference 2, but Donald came in and had a scar on his face in 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So it had to reference what happened then.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like they just don't give a shit, or generally that's stupid and just forget about it.
Like I said, I couldn't make it up if I tried. So Jamie escapes with a baby, gets killed by Michael, and hides the baby, who Tommy Doyle mysteriously is the only one that can find the baby because he's obsessed with Michael. He runs into hospital with the baby, saying he'll need help, finds Dr. Loomis, then runs away with the baby because the police are coming after him because he's batshit crazy. And I don't know the relative, but I know she's a Strode, and she's probably like a cousin or once removed of Laurie Strode, has got a son as well, and her son's getting influenced by voices and turning him into, so you think he's going to be all stabby as well. But it's just nuts. It's absolutely out there.
It sounds it. It sounds amazing, actually. The way you sold it there is generally making me want to go and watch it. And if you want to go and watch it, it's on Netflix.
It is. And again, I don't want to give spoilers because I know people might not have watched it, because it's not one of the ones where a lot of people have seen. But the ending
it was out in the 90s. If they haven't seen it, that's on them.
But the ending is like Tommy Doyle versus Michael Myers, and he's injecting him loads of shit. And then Michael's slowing down, and he beats Michael to death with a pipe, and then walks out with a swagger saying, "Yeah, I just kicked Michael Myers' ass." Then when you go back, Michael Myers' mask is just lying there, and Michael's gone, and that's the ending.
Fucking hell.
Yes. So then,
holy shit.
that was the ending of, like I said, them Michael Myers movies, shall we say?
That's so funny. Yeah, Netflix has literally just put them all on today. As of the 1st of October, all the Halloween movies are on there. I don't know if they've put, because they did have the 2018 one on there and then removed it. I don't know if they've re-put it back on again, but I know definitely 4 and 5 is on and 1 is on. Potentially
I don't know if 2 and 3 are, but I know 4, 5, and 6 possibly are. But then again, I know we've briefly touched on it, but then we're led into, shall we say, the Scream Halloween film, because it was just a direct rip-off of Scream.
So there's I did generally love this at the time, and there is still some parts of it like that I really enjoy, especially Janet Leigh being in the movie, and there's so many references to her character in Psycho, like her name is Norma. That's the name of Norman Bates's mum. The car she drives is Marion Crane's car, right down to the registration number is her car. I love the fact that Janet Leigh and Jamie Lee got that because she died not shortly after it. So I do love the fact that she got that. But Jamie Lee has said that she had to sign on to 2 movies.
Yeah.
That was because they wanted to use that for Halloween Resurrection. She really did not want to do that movie.
You couldn't tell.
Really did not want to do it. She could see where the franchise was going. Like it's not enough for them just to do 1.
Yeah, I think with H2O, like I say, we'll move on to the resurrection, shall we say, in a moment. But going back to H2O, it was done well. I know I lambasted it a little bit with saying it was a Scream ripoff, which I believe Kevin Williamson did either have a big part to play. I don't know if he directed it.
It just falls in that genre. That's what horror was at the time. It was that teeny, slashery 90s feel like it. So it was always good. If it fell within like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was always going to have an element of Scream in there.
Yeah. But it did have a decent cast. As you mentioned, the kid from Jumanji, he played a good role. I'm not the biggest fan of Michelle Williams, but again, she wasn't too annoying in this film. Jamie Lee Curtis did return and do well. LL Cool J was actually quite fun in this film as well, which I never thought I would see.
Hang on, I've lost my headphone. I can't hear you. There we go. Oh, no, wrong one. Hang on.
Technical difficulties. No, I was just saying, LL Cool J was actually quite fun in the role as well, and done a quite good thing.
Yes.
And I think they used the 90s heartthrob that was Josh Hartnett quite well.
Yes, they did. Even though he has this inflicting, it's an inflicting thing that certain actors have, and it's called dumb face. And Josh Hartnett suffers a lot from dumb face.
Yeah.
He has a lot of dumb face in this movie, and he has. If you watch The Faculty, which I love, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, he has it throughout that movie, dumb face.
No, but I thought he was good, even though his hairstyle kind of irritated us because it was always like not too tidy, not too messy, but done in a weird way. It was always sticking up at the back.
It's like a bowler cut, wasn't it? But like just a messy bowler cut.
But the kills in this one was always quite interesting, and as you said, I thought the ending was going to be the end when you saw Jamie Lee Curtis taking the swipe with the axe, and you saw Michael's head flying off. You thought, oh, he can't come back from that, can he? And
yes, he can.
Yes, he can.
And the beginning part where you've got Dr. Loomis giving you a rundown basically of Michael Myers, because you've got to think this is potentially hitting a new audience of people who may not have, watched the first one, or even up to like 6, not watched any of them. So it's Dr. Loomis giving you a rundown of the Michael Myers story. That's not Donald Pleasant.
No.
That is not his voice. Obviously, Donald Pleasant sadly passed away. That voice is done by Tom Kane. So it's completely different. The music in this is completely different to what we know of the Halloween score that John Carpenter masterfully put together. But this is only things that we pick up when you get heavily involved in a franchise and you start watching YouTube videos upon YouTube videos that have facts upon facts upon facts, which I did this morning, by the way.
Just do preparation. But yeah,
Yeah.
The next one, when we moved into, as you said, Jamie Lee Curtis did not want to do this. She was killed off pretty quickly in the movie. And the explanation, even though I actually quite bought into the explanation, how Michael survived having his head chopped off, that was done quite well, where he was...
he was chipped over.
Yeah, so he basically done the whole I'm swapping my outfit with the paramedic routine and snuck off when no one was watching. Oh, Michael just dropped his knife.
The good old switcheroo. Yeah, she generally did not want to do this, but she was contracted. This is how much she didn't want to do it. The movie poster is Laurie Strode from the Halloween H2O movie poster.
Yeah.
They didn't even do a new picture for her. That is her from the H2O one. And this is what got me, because LL Cool J I thought he was brilliant in it. I just think he was fun. He was lighthearted. Like, it's just, he was the relief you needed through tension. They were like, right, we got a really good rapper to come in and do it. Let's do it again, but bring somebody else in. Let's go with Coolio.
Wasn't? You've got the wrong one. No,
was it?
Busta
Oh my
Rhymes.
God, it was Busta Rhymes.
Oh, you've just went all Morgan Freeman on that.
Busta Rhymes, that's it. Oh my God. Wow. I was on a really good point as well.
Yep,
like,
you were. That's all right, don't worry, I'm only winding you up.
Oh my God. It's the whole Doug Jones, Doug Bradley thing all over again.
The one thing you didn't want to get wrong, bless you, was Busta Rhymes. And
yeah, so who the fuck thought that was a good idea? I'm sorry, he's not good in that movie.
But with this one, they tried to bring Halloween. They tried to make it a bit too clever as well, because they went, let's bring Michael Myers to the internet.
Yes, so this is what I wanted to get into, because this is what I learned today. They were technically on the forefront of found footage. So you got to think Blair Witch had come out. There'd been other found footage movies following on from Blair Witch, where there was always a cameraman. Like, for all its found footage, there was always technically a cameraman. There's always someone holding the camera. In this one, they had the actors being the camera.
Yeah.
And it was the forefront of found footage. Like, that was the advancement in found footage. I've just remembered Tyra Banks is in this film.
Yep.
Honestly, if my camera was on the verge of falling, I'd smash my face into my monitor. Not a fan.
No. But it's strange, because this doesn't feel like, I don't think they had the budget from H2O, because H2O looked like, for a horror film, looked well made. This one looked shoddily put together, and again, the premise was that they rejigged up cameras and had actors going in, like they tried to make it like a reality TV show, going into the Michael Myers house, and like on Halloween night, and then finding out like things like Michael had been living there for years under boards and stuff, eating rats and stuff, again giving him a backstory that he didn't need, and then became pissed off that these people were in his house and decided to go on a rampage. So that was the whole premise behind Resurrection. But to be honest, this was one of the low points. I would even put this below any of the, like, say, the ones that we've discussed before, the really shitty, like hammy ones. This one, because I thought it took itself too serious as well, though. That was my issue with it.
Yes, absolutely. The concept of it, though, would work, not within the Halloween franchise, but the concept of it I think it would work nowadays. Like,
but they've done it now in like certain things. I'm trying to think of the horror films. They've done ones like Grave Encounters, or where they've got like a paranormal activity team going into a haunted asylum and filming it, and then things going wrong. Right. That kind of thing works, but with Michael Myers, it doesn't need that type of hokey. Just put him on a rampage. Just give him a target. So that's what worked about the second one. I mean, the 2018 one, it didn't went right. We're not going to be too clever. Michael Myers gets out of asylum, goes right. I want to kill some shit, and just goes on a straight line. Don't overcomplicate it. That's as simple as it needs to be.
Yeah, they didn't make. I don't think it made its money back. It rated 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm surprised they even got that. To be fair,
I know. It's so bad. I have only ever watched it once, and obviously you're gonna. You if you are a horror fan like I am, and obviously a massive fan of the slasher franchise and Michael Myers, you are going to watch it, like regardless of what anyone says, you are going to watch it. So I've only ever watched it once. That is enough. That is enough.
Very much agree. Very much agree. So after this, because I think it killed the franchise for a few years, they decided to have this brilliant, amazing idea of rebooting the franchise, starting it from scratch, disbanding anything that's gone before, and using the amazing horror director, I'm being very sarcastic here, Rob Zombie, to give his flair and take on the Halloween, which I'll admit, I know there's been 2 films. I can't believe he got a sequel. I've watched the first one. I refused to watch the second one. So I know nothing about the second one because the first one violently made me angry to the point where I watched it just out of sheer spite of myself, basically.
I've only ever seen halfway through the first one and turned it off. It was trash. I love Rob Zombie though, and I've said this before on the podcast. When Rob Zombie goes off and does his own stuff, he is a genius. I know House of a Thousand Corpses doesn't get a good reputation, but I love it to a certain point. Devil's Rejects, 3 from Hell. He is good at him, but when he stepped into this world, it just didn't work. Now he contacted John Carpenter, and John Carpenter gave him his blessing and went, "Oh my God, go for it, make it your own. You do you, put your stamp on it. You've got my blessing." Rob Zombie then goes on an interview and says he was very cold. He did not like my ideas. He did not like this. And John Carpenter was like, "Bitch, please." I was more than happy. Like, they had a massive falling out over this because he was like, "I was more than happy. I told you to go and run with it." And then you go and say shit like that. John Carpenter was foaming. They've sorted it out now, but he was not happy with his response because he said, "I was not."
I'm still not forgiving Rob Zombie for Halloween. Just the whole idea of it. If anyone watches the original Halloween film, you know why it's scary. And for someone to then go in and think, "I've got a better idea and a better way of doing it," I know I'll give Michael Myers a tragic childhood and say he was abused and say that's why he decided to become a mute and to become like have him killing animals and stuff. No, just make him pure evil, give him that essence, and then just again. Being Rob Zombie, it had to be the most brutal and violent thing ever, which, fair enough, it's a horror film, but you don't need to go to the lengths it did. And to the point where I know in Halloween 2 and stuff like that, the mask and everything started getting disfigured. And again, I can't really talk too much about Halloween 2 because it's a film I've never watched, and I'll be honest, I will never go back to because it's never going to be something I will enjoy.
Yeah, the kid in the first one is not even in the second one. When they do flashback scenes, it's somebody else. Yeah. It's like, the kid in the first one is not the same in the second one. Obviously, Sherry Moon Zombie had to be involved.
I think I made the joke the other day. If Rob Zombie was to remake Jaws, he would do Sherry Moon as Jaws the Shark. So
yes. I love her though. I am a huge fan of that woman, but I do get where people are coming from. Like she does get used a lot by her husband. I'm looking forward to seeing who she's going to be in the Munsters, because she's gonna.
If she's Lily, that's going to be the worst casting in the world.
Yeah, she's no Lily Munster at all.
She's not all sweetness and light. So.
She is not. She is not. Like Baby Firefly is one of her most iconic roles, and I love her as that. I owned the Rob Zombie movies. Never watched them. I watched the first part like for about 20 minutes and turned it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I was a little excited when they said they were rebooting Halloween, and I thought, oh, what harm can it do? Because it's a slasher film. It's a again.
And you're gonna watch it?
Yeah, but it's when they overcomplicate things and they try and be too clever. Again, I know I didn't touch on, but one of the elements we laughed about before this in Halloween 5 is Michael has a psychic link to Jamie, and she can see what he's doing before he's going to kill someone.
That is so funny. Yes, yeah. I'm fine. I got right tickle. That is so funny. A psychic link.
So again, I know it's movies about killers and unstoppable things. But when people try and add layers and add extra things to it, it doesn't need to be there, and that's why, again, I know we've talked about it a few times, but leading into what I would say is probably up there with the original Halloween 2018. It was done in a way with respecting the original material. It didn't overcomplicate it. It went, right, Michael's on a path. This is the path he's going on. There's no special things. He's just basically, he might be evil personified. And I like the whole aspect where, like, Laurie Strode had become a recluse, because you would after that experience.
Yeah. You would. Trauma is going to have an effect, and it turned her into an absolute warrior. Are we in the 2000? Sorry, I was too busy coughing. Are we moved on from Rob Zombie?
Yeah, I can't talk about Rob Zombie anymore. Yeah. Again, I don't want it to be a negative podcast. That's what.
No. So the 2018 one, like, did we see this coming? We did not see this coming at all. This was so exciting. This is like when horror started to pick itself back up again and dust its shoulders and, start to move forward into what horror is now, like the phase we're in of horror, and this fits in there perfectly. What was I going to say?
And they made the relationships realistic as well. That was the thing that I get, because a lot of the, like, my big bugbears with horror films is when, like, tragic things happen, they don't kind of react, or it just moves on like they would normally. This one
they go to school.
They go to school the next day when the best friend's being killed or attacked. Laurie Strode never got over that attack from Michael, so that then bled into her family, her daughter and her granddaughter, and how they raised the daughter. And, like I say, her daughter, who was played brilliantly, I think I mentioned this podcast before, was absolutely amazing.
We'll probably go over old ground that we've covered before, because it's Judy Greer is just amazing in this, and I love the fact that they confirmed that they're not brother and sister.
Yeah, 100%.
It was said out loud, they are not brother and sister, and at that moment you were like, get in, yes, that's what we wanted to hear. I love Judy Greer.
He stabbed us.
So you've just taken him out.
Yeah. I was getting too scared. He was getting too close. Poor Judith, though. Sorry, Judith.
Oh, I love the fact that Judy Greer wore a Christmas jumper. Oh, Judith Myers, may she rest in peace. I love the fact that she wore a Christmas jumper at Halloween, because she is so traumatized by how she was raised. She's trying to, like, neglect Halloween completely, and is like, no, I'm embracing Christmas, because I don't want anything to do with this.
Do with Halloween,
but that switch at the end, when she becomes like the woman who our mother has been, the moment our mother has been training her for, and she switches it. Wow, I've got goosebumps even thinking about it.
No, and it was done so perfect. She went from the victim to, like, fuck you. But
she just went from someone who wanted an easy life, like she didn't want the life that our mother was planning out for herself, because she just wanted to move on. She was happy to move on because it didn't happen to her.
Yeah.
So she's all prepared just to live her life and crack on with it. But obviously Laurie, who honestly, Jamie Lee was just phenomenal as this Laurie Strode. Absolutely brilliant.
because you can tell she was such a broken person, but also it was done in a way where she was quite powerful at times as well. That's aspects I quite got from it. It was, like I say, she was broken to the point where she always almost wanted to give up, but you knew, like I say, she was doing it not just for her, it was for her family. And I think she would only ever rest is when Michael dies. And I think, again, I hope I'm not being because I don't want it to happen, but I think we might see the last of Lauren Strode in the next film. I don't think she's going to make it out.
I think and it'll be on her terms as well. The arc that Laurie goes through, if you miss out to 2018, is like from the first one to then. The arc reminds me so much of Carol from The Walking Dead. Goes from broken to warrior because of traumatic experiences. And Carol is one of my favorite characters because of her story arc. Like, Carol is so dangerous right now, but you understand why she's dangerous. And Laurie is exactly the same. You understand why she is as dangerous as she is because of what you saw her go through. Like, that messes people up. They don't just go back to school the next day and their lives don't just get back to normal. It can fuck a person up.
No, certainly. Yeah. But I know they always said, well, after the first one came out, he said he was wanting to make a trilogy. So I know Halloween Kills, and the last one's meant to be called, I think it's called Halloween Ends. But I think that Halloween Ends is going to be a daughter finishing it. That's my take from the premise.
Or maybe even a granddaughter, because a granddaughter.
A granddaughter. Sorry. So I think
she was superb in that.
Yeah, because I know. Again, I don't think we'll see Laurie get out of this one alive. So there will be a continuation. So it'll either be a passing the torch to a daughter or passing it to a granddaughter. Where the granddaughter makes more sense, because it will be like the teenager killing the babysitter killer type thing. But I'm getting a huge, I know it sounds weird, Frankenstein's monster type feel out of the next film, just because the whole town's against him. Like you got like the pitchforks and we're out to get Michael. So it's all like a coming together. So I'm starting to get like a Frankenstein's monster type thing. So again, I'm hoping they don't go too much into the backstory. Keep it as light as possible and just do, like I say, as scary as you can.
Yeah, I think that the writers have heard us. I think the writers have heard the fans, because 2018 is wrote as it's basically fan treatment, isn't it? It's
100%. It was almost the Infinity War for Halloween.
It was just giving us what we wanted for so many years. Danny McBride and his team, because it's not just Danny McBride, he has like a team around him. There's other people in there as well. They basically listened, and it's probably, they're like us. If they are Halloween and horror fans, they're probably in the same boat as what we are, and they've just given us exactly what we wanted. The jump scares in that one was brilliant. Like, I'm so angry at the fact that they put one of the biggest jump scares in the trailer. And if you want to watch me react to it and literally shit myself, go and watch it, because it is still available on YouTube. It is so funny.
Pleasure.
I levitate.
But as a franchise, I know most franchises do have it up and down, but in the horror ones, I do think, again, my opinion differentiates a little bit to yours. I think the Halloween one stands up there with the likes of Freddy. Again, we're getting a new Scream film next year as well, so that'll be quite interesting to see how Cindy Prescott can survive again. But I still think it's probably better than the Friday the 13th franchise. I always thought that was a bit hokey, but again, still fun, scary films. But it's just so interesting to see how little horror films and stuff, because I guess it's all about money. It's easy to make a horror film than it can be to make, like I say, a big budget. And you see all these sequels. As I said, there's going to be 13 Halloween films when this all comes out. You never thought you would get 12 Michael Myers and a Silver Shamrock.
Oh, definitely not. But horror, there's completely different rules when it comes to movie making than there is in the rest of the genres, and they can pretty much get away with anything they want to because it's horror. We can make it paranormal, we can make it supernatural, we can make it this, that, and the other. So there is so much that they can get away with, and they do.
I like the storytelling. I think it's one that all the storytelling is. I think most stories we were told as a kid or in before film or even things were horror stories. I think that's the purest form. People like to be scared. That's the end.
I mean, look at Christmas. Christmas has one of the best ghost stories ever. Christmas Carol. Like my mom always says that ghost stories is very prominent around Christmas, and Christmas Carol is one of them.
So what's the best we'll go into the Christmas one now later. What's the best Christmas film? Is it The Muppets Christmas or Scrooged?
Oh my gosh.
That's the one for later date. One for you to think about.
That's a hard one. If taken the first one out, would you say that Season of the Witch is your favourite? Like if you just had to on the spot right now, what's your favourite Halloween movie?
If you take out because you can't have 2018 without the first one, so that would make no sense.
The rest of them.
It would be Seasons of the Witch because it's the most interesting, and again, it doesn't involve any outrageous. It generally is quite scary, and the effects in it as well is a little bit hokey, but still scary as fuck when you see that woman's face get blasted off, and these kind of thing just crawl out of her mouth. It's terrifying. Yes,
I just wish it didn't have any. I wish it didn't have anything to do with Michael Myers. I wish it wasn't put in the same category as him. That's the only downside of that movie getting the respect it deserves. Yes,
I think people, from what I'm saying about the next Halloween film in the trailer, with them using the masks, it'll bring that type of interest back. So I think a lot of people might go back to the Season of the Witch that hasn't visited before. And I think that's just like say a positive that can come out of it, that we might get that aspect eventually.
When I clocked their masks in the new trailer, I was on it. I had to screenshot it and I was like, yes! This is a franchise that has been done over so many times. So you've got 1 and 2, don't follow on from 4, 5, and 6. That don't follow on to Halloween H2O, Resurrection. Then we get a complete and utter redo back into 2018. But Halloween H2O almost brought everything back into play and make it all be in the same universe. Mm-hmm. There was a scene that was cut out when they're in the classroom and one of the students is doing a book report on Laurie Strode, and she goes through the events from 1 to 6 and says no, and the last line was, and Laurie Strode is nowhere to be seen and we've not heard from her since. Isn't it just a mystery? And then Laurie, who is the teacher who is going under another name, I can't remember what her name is, Jamie Lee, just walks out the classroom to take a deep breath because somebody knows her history and knows the fact that she has a daughter that she put up for adoption. And that was going to be an H2O, and it would have linked every single one of them.
Oh, I probably would have liked that more, to be honest. But it's amazing, like all these things that probably do got cut out or they don't want to interlink, and they leave Michael's psychic link with his niece in there, or having a baby with his niece, which is all types of wrong. But again, we're talking about American horror.
It's almost like Vince McMahon wrote the Halloween scripts, because that is some serious shit that he would come up with and has tried to do before. Yes. Yeah.
No. So that's our discussion, our talk on the legacy that was the Halloween films. So it's quite fun. Like I said, we've done a little bit different there, trying to take aspects and seeing how it works. So I really enjoyed that. I don't know how you felt it.
I really enjoyed it. I can talk about the Halloween franchise for days upon end, and all you'll get out of it is I love it. I just love it. I do, but because it's fun. Like, it is a fun franchise, and I generally have a big soft spot for franchises who try, like who have tried, like you. I don't mind the fact that this has been redone over so many times because things are going to change, topic points are going to change, the world changes. So I like the fact that they're willing to take risks on it, which is why I don't really mind the Friday the 13th franchise because I
do get them, but I just don't hold them as high regard. I think with Halloween 1 being not just a good horror film, but a good film in general, I think it sets the bar for a lot of different things. But again, I'm always for it, and I'm always I'll always watch these type of films. I'm not one of these gore hands. I'm always about the psychology and
I'm not a gore person.
Yes, but October 15th can't get here too quick enough for me.
I'm so excited. I am so buzzing for this. I am hoping we can get to the cinema and me and Carolyn are going to see it, because the following day we are in Manchester for the Love of Horror convention, which I am so excited for. I am not somebody who likes to meet famous people. I'm very nervous on that. Which was evident when I stood in front of Alex Winter and could not say a goddamn word. But I really want to go and get Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich's autograph. But that means I have to stand in front of them. And the idea scares us.
But I was going to say, if you are down Manchester, because you remember, because I know you probably not be going to any after parties with Carolyn, but the Printworks will be showing the Halloween film on, so get yourself to there in Manchester as well.
Oh, the after party, no, we probably won't be staying for that because we've got to come home. But Tim Capello I think he's performing again like he did. But the thing is, though, they had the after party with Tim Capello performing, and then on the Sunday when we were there, he performed it again, and I got to see it there, so I was fine with that. He's the nicest guy in the world, so lovely. I had no issues talking to him because he was just generally nice. So yes, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next Halloween film, and it's saying the release date of the last one is 2022.
Yeah.
Is that right? Are we going to get one and then the other because of the delay of COVID?
Potentially, I did hear that they were filming them back to back, but I've not heard anything since then. So it could get like a Back to the Future situation where they film both of them at the same time. So I might not even get the ending to this story. We might just get like a if again, I don't want to say I know anything. This is just my idea of how the film would work if they are splitting it down that way. That the ending will be Michael killing Laurie, and then the trying to work out things, and then leading on will be, like I say, the fallout from them will be the Halloween ends. That's just my take of how it would work in my head, but
I want to see the granddaughter. No, but I want to see the granddaughter kick some ass. I want her character to be utilised just as much as it was in the first one. I really want her to shine out in this one, so I'm so looking forward to it. I really enjoyed this. This was fun. This is such a good way to kick off the 1st of October.
Yes, so this is the first of the spooky season, so got a few things lined up. So the next one, I believe, we're filming a day early because you're going to Edinburgh. All I'm going to say is, who are you going to call? But yes, so thank you for listening again. Hope you've enjoyed. Comment if you've got anything, if you think we've said anything wrong, or if you want to add anything to what we've said. Again, please follow our Facebook page. That seems to be growing every day, which is just mental. Nerdy Up North community. It's a great place, and like I say, a lot of different conversations and interesting topics have been brought up. Our Instagram, again, Nerdy Up North. It's just me posting random shit. And again, don't forget, we're on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and follow us, subscribe to us, and ring our bell on YouTube. So please follow us.
I think we need to pre-record this bit, so you can just press play, so you don't have to remember everything each week, because we're on a lot of platforms and it's just growing every single day. And I just can't thank you enough for watching, listening, supporting us on the and joining us on the Facebook page and getting involved. It's fantastic. Like, it blows my mind every single day. So thank you.
And we've got some fun guests lined up. So I don't think we've got a guest for next week, but we've got some people returning. We've got some new faces, so should be quite interesting. Like I say, for the month of Halloween, because it's not just one day; it's for the full month. So yes.
Well, it's it's the whole year for me. So
goth life, you can't lose. But yeah. So again, thank you, and remember, same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Bye.